The first time I saw the alien, it was kneeling in chains beneath the white lights of Docking Bay 12. I was there because someone had made a mistake. Specifically me. I was only a systems linguist, one of the many civilian contractors assigned to the Coalition fleet after first contact. My job was to break apart alien languages, find patterns, map meaning onto sound. I wasn't military. I wasn't brave. I certainly wasn't cleared for prisoner interrogation. But when the patrol frigate Vanguard returned from the Perseus Drift with a captured hostile life form, the first living specimen of the species that had burned 3 outposts, every linguist within 5 sectors was summoned. The alien knelt inside a containment field shaped like a translucent cube. Bands of black alloy wrapped its wrists and ankles. More circled its long throat. A final restraint pierced through a metallic harness at its spine, tethering it to the floor. It was taller than any human by a head, even while kneeling. Its skin shimmered faintly, not with color, but with something like distant starlight trapped beneath translucent flesh. For eyes curved across a narrow face. No visible mouth, just a smooth plane that split only when it exhaled. Around me, Marines stood ready with pulse rifles. Admiral Cade folded her hands behind her back. This is the one that boarded Outpost Row. Killed 17 personnel. The alien did not react. We've attempted communication through signal projection, harmonic mimicry, mathematical constants. Nothing, she continued, until 5 minutes ago. She turned toward me. It made a sound, a structured one. It repeated it twice. And my throat felt dry. Admiral Cade's gaze sharpened. It said your name. The room seemed to tilt. That's impossible, I said. I agree, she replied calmly. Which is why you're here. They powered down the containment field's acoustic dampeners. For a moment, there was only the hum of the bay and the distant vibration of ship engines. Then the alien lifted its head, all 4 eyes fixed on me. Its smooth face parted along a vertical seam. From within came a sound like wind through crystal, layered tones, harmonics weaving together. Elias Mar. It wasn't perfect. The vowels were stretched thin, the consonants softened. But it was my name, spoken like someone remembering it. I had never seen this creature before. I was certain of that. And yet the way it looked at me, there was no confusion, no searching curiosity. Only recognition. Ask it how it knows you, Admiral Cade ordered quietly. I stepped closer to the field's edge. My pulse hammered so hard I could feel it in my fingertips. I spoke slowly, projecting my voice clearly. Identify the source of the designation, Elias Mar. The alien's head tilted. A ripple of faint light moved beneath its skin. Then it spoke again. Elias Mar. You are late. A murmur spread among the officers. I don't understand, I whispered. The alien leaned forward, as far as the spinal tether allowed. Chains tightened with a metallic groan. Memory sequence incomplete, it said. Temporal deviation exceeds tolerance. Temporal, Admiral Cade snapped. Clarify. But the alien's eyes never left mine. You promised, it continued. You said you would return before the burning. My stomach dropped. The burning. Outpost Row. 17 dead. I've never met you, I said, more to myself than to it. The alien skin dimmed. Incorrect. They moved the interrogation to a secure chamber deeper inside the station. No viewing gallery. No observers beyond 2 armed guards and Admiral Cade. The alien remained chained to a reinforced platform. I sat opposite it, separated by a transparent energy barrier. Up close, I could see faint patterns beneath its skin, branching lines like constellations mapped across a living sky. State your species designation, I began, forcing my voice steady. Untranslatable in your phonetic range, it replied. Closest harmonic equivalent, shari. Shari, I repeated, logging it mentally. Why did your forces attack human installations? A pause. Retaliation. For what? The alien's gaze sharpened. For betrayal. Admiral Cade's jaw tightened. We've had no prior contact beyond defensive engagements. The shari ignored her. Elias Mar, it said again. Why did you not warn them? I don't know what you're talking about. I snapped, frustration cutting through fear. I've never left coalition space. I've never encountered your species. The alien's skin flared brighter. Contradiction destabilizes memory lattice. Explain, I demanded. It closed all four eyes. The air in the chamber seemed to thicken. Linear perception is a human constraint, it said slowly. The shari experienced temporal flow as layered fields. Past and future are accessible states, not absolutes. Admiral Cade looked at me. Is it claiming? It's claiming nonlinear time perception. I finished quietly. The alien opened its eyes again. In one field, you stood before our council, it said. You carried the symbol of truce. You argued against extermination. My breath caught. What symbol? The alien's gaze dropped to my chest. Instinctively, I followed its line of sight. To the thin silver pendant I'd worn since childhood. A simple spiral etched into metal. A design I had never been able to trace to any culture. I had found it in my mother's belongings after she died. No explanation. No origin. The shari's voice softened. You bore that mark when you spoke our name with respect. The room felt too small. That's impossible, Admiral Cade said sharply. He's never left Earth until this assignment. The alien turned one eye toward her. In your linear sequence, correct. Then back to me. But the fields intersect, Elias Mar. They always intersect. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. The shari's words echoed in my head like a recursive loop. You promised. You said you would return before the burning. At 0300 hours, I accessed restricted archives. I shouldn't have had clearance, but linguists were granted broader data permissions than most realized. I searched for anomalies, unexplained signal bursts, temporal distortions, disappearances, and I found one. 23 years ago, a minor research station near the Perseus Drift had recorded a localized gravitational shear, brief, intense, and unexplainable. It lasted exactly 4.7 seconds. At that precise moment, a civilian transport passing through the region reported a total systems blackout. The transport's manifest included a passenger list. I stared at the name. Alara Mar. My mother. According to records, the blackout caused no damage. Systems rebooted. The ship continued on course. But there was a medical report filed 3 days later. Subject experienced acute disorientation. Claimed she had been somewhere else. Diagnosis: stress-induced hallucination. I leaned back slowly. My mother had never spoken about that incident, but she had given me the pendant shortly before she died. Someday, she had told me, pressing it into my hand, you'll understand why this matters. I thought it was sentiment. Now I wasn't sure. The next morning, I returned to the interrogation chamber alone. Admiral Cade had reluctantly granted me limited, unsupervised access. She wanted answers as badly as I did. The shari watched me enter. You have a line closer to the correct field, it observed. My mother, I said without preamble. Did you meet her? A flicker of light passed beneath its skin. Yes. The word hit like a physical force. When? I whispered. In a divergent layer. She crossed unintentionally. We detected the anomaly. What happened to her? We returned her to her origin vector. And me? My voice trembled despite my effort to steady it. Where do I fit into this? The Sha'ari's chains shifted softly as it leaned forward. You followed. Cold spread through my limbs. I was 23 years ago. In your primary field, it agreed. In another, you were not. Images flickered at the edge of my mind. Impossible, fragmented. A sky split by twin stars. A vast chamber of living crystal. Voices layered in harmonics. You came seeking her, the Sha'ari continued. You carried the spiral mark. It resonated with our transit matrices. The pendant. It's yours, I realized. Not ours alone, it corrected. It is a bridge key. A harmonic anchor between fields. My hand tightened around the metal. In that layer, you negotiated a temporary truce. You argued that humanity required time. That fear drove the aggression of your military factions. My heart pounded. And did I succeed? The Sha'ari skin dimmed. For a time. The weight of those words settled heavily between us. What changed? You did not return before the burning. Outpost Row. 17 dead. Your absence shifted political balance within our council, it said. Hardline factions prevailed. Retaliation authorized. I staggered back a step. You're telling me that in some alternate timeline, I was supposed to prevent this war? Yes. And I failed. A long pause. Your arrival here suggests the fields are reconverging, the Sha'ari said softly. Failure may not be final. Admiral Cade did not take the revelation well. You expect me to believe that this war hinges on temporal overlap and alternate versions of my linguist, she demanded. I'm saying the Sha'ari perceive time differently, I replied. If their political decisions depend on interactions across multiple temporal layers, then our understanding of causality is incomplete. People are dead, Dr. Marr. I know. She studied me carefully. You believe it, don't you? I hesitated only a moment. Yes. She exhaled sharply. If there's even a chance this creature is telling the truth, then we exploit it. It's not a creature, I said quietly. It's a diplomat. She arched a brow. Then let's give it the opportunity to prove it. The plan was reckless. We would remove the spinal tether. Not the full restraints, those remained, but enough to allow limited movement. If the Sha'ari could access whatever temporal perception it claimed to possess, we needed it functional. As technicians disengaged the tether, the alien's body shuddered. Light flared beneath its skin like distant lightning. Anchored, destabilizing, it murmured. What does it need? I asked urgently. You, it replied. I stepped forward without thinking. Place the spiral against the field. I pressed the pendant to the energy barrier separating us. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the metal grew warm. A harmonic tone filled the chamber, low at first, then rising into layered resonance. The Sha'ari extended one chained hand toward me. Light leapt between the pendant and its skin. The room dissolved. I stood in a vast crystalline hall beneath a sky of fractured color. No, we stood. The Sha'ari was beside me, unchained. Across the chamber, towering figures of living starlight watched from elevated platforms. The council, it whispered. One figure stepped forward. You return, Elias Marr, it said, voice vibrating through the air itself. But not as expected. I looked down at myself. I was older here. Scars traced my hands. The spiral pendant glowed faintly at my chest. This is the divergent field, the Sha'ari beside me explained. Where you once spoke. The council's collective gaze pressed against me like gravity. You argued for coexistence, the lead figure said. You asked us to see your species as potential, not threat. And you listened. I replied, memory rising like a tide. Fragments aligned. I had stood here before. I had believed in something larger than fear. You vanished before fulfilling your assurance, another council member said coldly. Your absence cost us political stability. I didn't choose to vanish, I said. Something disrupted the fields. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Humanity's expansion accelerates, the lead figure observed. Their fleets grow. Because they're afraid, I countered. And you proved their fear justified when you burned Rho. Silence. The Shari beside me turned to the council. The fields reconverge, it said. The human exists simultaneously in both sequences. This is a rare, harmonic alignment. The lead figure studied me. If we restore the prior accord, can you guarantee compliance from your people? I thought of Admiral Cade, of the Marines in Docking Bay 12, of 17 bodies drifting in vacuum. I can't guarantee anything, I said honestly, but I can stand between us again. A long pause stretched. Then the council's light shifted, subtle, but unmistakable. Conditional truce reinstated, the lead figure declared. One cycle. Relief crashed through me. One cycle, I echoed. The crystalline hull fractured into shards of light. I stumbled back into the interrogation chamber. The pendant fell from my fingers, clattering against the floor. Alarms blared. Technicians shouted. The Shari collapsed against its restraints, light flickering weakly beneath its skin. Admiral Cade rushed forward. What happened? We have one cycle, I gasped. She stared at me. They've agreed to a temporary ceasefire, but we need formal diplomatic contact immediately. As if summoned by my words, the station's communications console chimed. An incoming transmission signal, unknown origin, harmonic structure unlike any human protocol. Admiral Cade looked from the console to the alien. Patch it through, she ordered. The main screen flared to life. A towering figure of living starlight filled the display. The same presence from the crystalline hall. This is the Shari Council, it announced. We request negotiation under the guidance of Elias Marr. Every officer in the chamber turned to me. I felt the weight of it, of two species balanced on a fragile intersection of time. The AlienInChains lifted its head. All fields align, it whispered. Admiral Cade straightened. Release the restraints, she said quietly. The guards hesitated only a moment before complying. Chains fell away. The Shari rose to its full height. For the first time since its capture, it stood unbound. It turned to me. Memory stabilized, it said softly. You kept your promise. I swallowed hard. No, I replied. I'm keeping it now. The negotiations lasted days. Humans struggled to grasp the Shari's layered perception of time. The Shari struggled to understand humanity's linear fear. But slowly something shifted. Shared research initiatives replaced patrol skirmishes. Joint monitoring of the Perseus drift replaced weapon deployments. And in the quiet moments between official sessions, I would sometimes feel a faint warmth from the spiral pendant. A reminder that the universe was larger and stranger than any single timeline. On the final day of the truce cycle, the Shari who had first spoken my name stood beside me on the observation deck. Beyond the viewport, human and Shari vessels drifted in cautious formation. You are uncertain, it observed. I'm human, I replied. Uncertainty is our default state. Its skin shimmered faintly. In one field, you never returned. War consumed both our species. I looked at it, and in this one, it said, you arrived late, but not too late. I let out a slow breath. Will the fields diverge again? Always, it answered. But convergence leaves echoes. It turned its 4 eyes toward me. Elias Mar, it said, my name no longer fractured or stretched but clear and resonant. You are remembered across layers. The words sent a quiet shiver through me. For the first time since Docking Bay 12, I allowed myself to believe that memory, like time, could be a bridge instead of a weapon. The alien who had once knelt in chains now stood as an emissary. And I, a linguist who had never meant to shape the fate of worlds, found myself exactly where 2 futures touched. Not because I was chosen, but because, somewhere across the layered fields of existence, I had once chosen to stand between fear and understanding. And this time, I had arrived in time to finish what I started.